Does more number of gears equal more performance? This is from Rishi Hogger.
Okay. No more number of gears.
So does having a 5-speed or a 6-speed gearbox on a motorcycle, for example, or a 9-speed automatic versus a 5-speed automatic automatically imply more performance?
No.
Explain.
So gears are used to multiply torque. So that's the amount of drive you can get. So typically, we associate more gears with performance, but in the ideal world, now look at electrics, and we have some really quick electrics. They have 1 or 2 gears
At best.
So it's down to how much torque a vehicle has. So if a vehicle actually has more gears, it's because it doesn't have as much torque as what the performance requirement for that vehicle is on the engine, and it is then multiplied with the gears. So it's always a balance that is created, but it's not necessary that you have to have 6, 7, 8, 9. In fact, some of the cars with 9 and 10 speed gearboxes, they can feel quite underwhelming to drive in some conditions. So it's not like that the performance is just there.
Yeah.
They are designed for a particular use, and hopefully it works in that.
I'll give you another example from back in the day when the first race bikes were happening, 2-strokes. They had really narrow power bands. Like all of the torque would arrive like in the space of say 150, 200 RPM. And those bikes would have 12 gears, 14 gears and stuff. And the idea was you'd be able to give you a gearbox ratio that would allow you to stay in those 200 RPM. And to do that successfully over the length of a racetrack would require this poor rider to have 14 gear shifts to select from as to where does he want to go next. And remember, these are sequential gear shifts, which means if he decides that I'm in 1 and I should ideally be in 6, he has to upshift 5 times to get to 6. Right? And then the next ideal as he accelerates is going up, 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 up. Now imagine he's in 14th gear, right? And now there's a first gear corner coming up. And that means no, all the way down to 14. It's terrible. Which is why you don't see them anymore. So today, he's taken examples of the Classic 350 and the Java 42. To me, we have to always remember that the engineering design for a gearbox starts with the bottom gear and the top gear. And then they fill the gears in.
That's called the gear spread.
Right? So, and they fill the gears in, which means if you were to have 6 ratios, you have a little bit more flexibility. If you have 5 ratios, you lack a little bit of flexibility, but you're saving a little bit of cost. But when you have torquey machines that make a lot of torque, sometimes the 5th gear is only there for marketing, because if they were to have 4 ratios, if the machine is torquey enough, you may not need anymore. Right? There's something I wrote recently where I forgot to shift up from 4th. I just kept forgetting that there is a 5th and a 6th. I think it was a Maverick. I'm not sure. But I basically was going through traffic and I just felt like I'm in the right gear. And then you'd look up and realize that there were 2 more ratios left. Okay, so never equate gears as a number with performance. Typically, performance machines do tend to have 6 gears. This is true. But do they need 6 gears? Sometimes it's just marketing.
Is to widen usability. Like if you think about sport bikes, as Shumi said about race bikes, invariably today, even high performance machines will be in the peak performance in a certain rev range, which will be narrower than, let's say, a classic or a CB350 that you're talking about, not CB350 classic, where the torque spread is wider. So you need fewer gears to get the work done. You just open, you'll get the acceleration that you want instead of having to shift down. So it's just a question of matching the two.
And to extend his argument to the other side, the electrics make their peak torque all the time, which is why they basically don't need a gearbox at all. It's always usable. So you can effectively just control the motor and give you a usable machine. You don't actually need a gearbox at all, which is why things like the Aether, etc., has no real gearbox. There is a reduction, which converts a very high RPM motor into something more useful in terms of the rear wheels rotation, and that's it.
And trucks have like multiple gears, but we don't think of them as powerful.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this bit of the conversation, I would recommend heading over to the MotorInc channel, because that's where you'll find the entire conversation, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that even more.